Hey guys, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice, and today we are going to be doing a little unboxing, some swatching, and maybe playing around a little bit with a demo using the Winsor Newton Studio Collection watercolor pencils. This is a 24 count. 24 pencils happens to be half of the complete range. There are 48 pencils in this studio collection range. And for those of you who are not familiar with Winsor & Newton, the studio collection also houses the also famous Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor paints. If you've ever paid attention to the bottom of the box, it'll say Studio Set, letting you know that it is part of the studio collection. Now that just happens to be what Winsor & Newton calls their student range of products. With that said, let's crack these open. As you can see, it comes in a little plastic shelf here. Just basic, you know. Throw it to the side. Keep that, using it for later. And please forgive any glaring lights. I'm going to try to get everything that may reflect out the way really quickly. So here it says the Winsor & Newton Studio Collection watercolor pencils, 24-piece. By appointment to HRH, the Prince of Wales, manufacturers of art material, Winsor & Newton, London. Nice. Flipping it over on the back, you're going to get a color swatch letting you know you have 24 versatile shades of premium color pigment. Watercolor pencils with soft lids for rich and vibrant colors. Use dry or with a wet brush for watercolor effects. Break-resistant lids and points. Okay. WindsorNewton.com, made in Vietnam. It gives the address in London. There's the AP stamp of approval, and that's pretty much all of the information listed on that, which is basically just a belly band. Let's see. I gotta get that off of there if I can get my, there we go. And we can slide that on off. And then the pencils are wrapped even further. I mean, they're really secure. I love Winsor & Newton 10s. I love what they do there. That's the, it comes, the, look here. So this type of 10 is what the watercolor markers come in. And these are actually pigment-based markers. So I think that's pretty cool. These are pigment-based markers. They have like fast ratings and all on them. So Winsor & Newton makes really good products. Now that particular product there was a professional range. That's not a studio product, but still, I was just showing you how consistent they are with their packaging, even across their professional range. So we're gonna pop these open here, and let's get into them. Let me be careful, make sure not to drop my pencils. Don't want to drop your pencils. All right. You guys know I have trouble open packaging. I don't even try to deny that. Okay, let's take a look at the pencil here. They come in trays. There are 2. Okay. So they come in 12 to a tray. That's pretty cool. Looks to be in an okay color range order there. Let's take a look at that tray. Oh, you know, it's flimsy. Maybe it's because it's not a full tray. It didn't feel as flimsy, but it feels a little bit more sturdy, you know. Maybe that's my imagination. You can, of course, remove both trays. Let's see, I'll drop these pencils. And you got your tin there for storage if you want to put the pencils in something else. That's pretty cool. All right. Let's take a look at that. You got a round barrel, so you know they do run the risk of rolling. It looks like some of my printing is faded a little bit there, but it does contain a color name. It has Winsor & Newton's logo. And then there's a color chipped on a domed pencil. So you won't be able to tell right off whether or not that lid is centered, but we will be able to tell later on down the line when we have to sharpen the pencil. So that's something I'll definitely get back to in the review. Now, right off just eyeballing it, the lid of the pencil seems to be generally in the same range as the color chip on the end, but again, that's something we'll have to take a closer look at. All right, so that's basically it. The pencils do not contain any light fast information, which is what you would normally expect on a watercolor pencil because it wouldn't contain any pigment information. Now I think that's pretty funny because of course the Winsor Newton Cotman paints do contain pigment information, and I think they have light fast ratings on them too. I don't want to misspeak, but I know that the Phoenix watercolors do, and that's the same as the Cotman, but I'm pretty sure there are light fast ratings in here. But that's neither here nor there, and I'm really checking. I'm really checking, you know. I don't like to give misinformation. Do I have light fast ratings on there? Yes. Yes, there are light fast ratings on the Cotman paints, but there are no light fast ratings on the watercolor pencils. Okay, yes. Wanted to make sure of what I was saying. All right, so that's pretty much it. The physicalities of the pencil, straightforward. That is what the tin looks like. It looks like we have some, let me see, icy gray 3, royal blue, plum, pastel pink. So we got some Cotman names, some Winsor Newton, sunflower yellow. So they gave them some kind of made up names by Winsor Newton, which is cool. Umber, okay, that's a familiar name. Burnt sienna black, olive green, grass green, lush green, turquoise. Okay, so you know, even if they're cutesy, they're pretty recognizable. Azure is pretty commonly used. Okay, so let's just get these all put back in here like this without breaking the pencils. I'm determined, right? So I'm going to get a swatch sheet together and we are going to swatch these pencils, and then afterwards we'll go into a painting demo with them. So when I swatch pencils, there are a few things I'm looking for. And believe it or not, there are quite a few things that you can get a preliminary feel for simply by swatching out your pencils. First and foremost, you get a feel for the true color of the pigment. Now, with watercolor pencils, the color chip on the end of the pencil may not necessarily be the exact color of the lead. And sometimes even looking at the lid under certain lights can fool you. So I always suggest that you swatch the pencils first and foremost for the true color. Secondly, I'm looking at how that pigment is going to disperse in water, which is why I normally do the very first layer of a watercolor pencil swatch with a little bit more water than you would normally expect. You normally hear me say, okay, you want to use a damp brush with your watercolor pencils. But I tend to use a little bit more than a damp brush per se with the very first layer when I'm swatching the pencils out. Something else that I'm looking for is how that pigment is going to look with just a regular layer, not dispersed, laying next to a dispersed layer. Now, I told you guys before, tell you a million times, and I always remind you, you do not have to add water to your watercolor pencils. There is no rule that says that. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of manufacturers that would encourage you and will tell you that they can be used wet or dry, with or without water. So I'm always looking for how those mix together, looking side by side with each other, which is why the second layer that I do is normally just a pencil layer without dispersing it with water. Now here you'll see I'm just moving that pigment around, and I normally use a water brush or a golden Techline synthetic brush, one of the two. I do like water brushes because they give a continuous feed of water, but depending on the brush, that could be a good or a bad thing. All brushes are not built equal when it comes to water brushes. Believe this. Believe me when I tell you this. It always helps to have a paper towel handy as well, to help wipe any excess water off the tip of a water brush if that's what you happen to be using. Something else that I'm looking for when I swatch pencils is how it feels, how it moves across the paper. Is the lead soft? Is it more towards the hard or semi-hard side? Is it creamy? Does it glide across the paper? How many passes does it take to cover the area that I'm coloring? So I'm looking at the coverage as well. And you may be thinking to yourself, are you serious? But yeah, seriously. These are the type of things that you really want to look at when you're swatching your pencils, because they're going to set you up for better success when you go into painting your compositions. You're going to have a better idea, generally anyway, because it normally takes a couple of paintings to really get a good idea of any product. But swatching will give you sort of a Windows view, a look into the product as to how it may perform. Now here you're going to see I'm going back and I'm adding in that second layer. Now this layer I will not disperse with water. It's letting me see what the two look like beside each other, and it's also letting me see what it would look like if I used the pencils as a color pencil layer on top of the dispersed layer, like I would normally do with just a regular color pencil set. So you kind of get a twofer. You guys know I like my twofers, love my twofers. So I'm just going to go through here and throw these swatches on. After this, we are going to come out and go into a live full-time painting demo where I'm going to show you guys a really easy composition. So let's get to it. Okay, so, here we are on the other side of the swatching. Not too bad of an experience. I have some thoughts. I do. And of course, we're going to be waiting on them. Let's jump into doing a actual painting demo with them really quickly. We'll keep it simple. I'm going to keep it really easy so that anybody who wants to can follow along. Doesn't matter what type or what brand of watercolor pencils you use. I'm going to be doing this real time. I'm not going to speed this part up, so this video may be a little bit longer than normal. I'm going to be doing the composition in my upcycled Jane Davenport mixed media journal. So this is mixed media paper that I'm going to be working on. Hold on, let me see if I can turn it down a little bit so it won't be too bright. And like I said, keeping it real time. So lately I've been talking to some different people on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and they like watercolor pencils but don't necessarily know where to begin with them. Now I think I'm going to put together like a watercolor 101 course, super extreme beginner. I'm going to be working on that. I'll let you guys know about that moving down the road. But for this demo painting, I'm going to do something really simple, really easy, something that anybody who wants to get started in watercolor pencils can do. Okay, doesn't matter what set of pencils you have. All right, you can work on whatever type of paper you want to. My suggestion would be either a mixed media paper or a watercolor paper, because they're going to handle water better. Okay, all right. You only need one watercolor pencil. Doesn't matter what color you decide to use. For this particular painting, I'm going to be testing the black. And the reason I'm doing this one is because when it comes to watercolor pencils, black is the color I use almost the most often. Especially when I'm doing the beginner watercolor paintings or the really easy, simple ones. A lot of sunsets, sunrises, things, night scenes, things like that. So I'm going to just use the black. So I'm going to use this one color to do a complete landscape. All right, so we're going to try to make this really quick. So let me stop talking and get to work here. So first thing I need to do is find my horizon line. I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way up. I'm keeping this portrait. I'm going to make it a portrait landscape. You guys can make it landscape, a real one if you want to. I'm going to keep it portrait. I'm going to say that's about 1/3 of the way up the paper, and I'm just going to draw a horizon line. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't have to be completely straight because all horizons aren't, but I'm just going to guesstimate there. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take light pressure, and I do mean light. We're going to kind of skip some in there, keeping it white. And then as we go up, we're going to get darker with the color. This is also going to help you see value. This is also going to be like a lesson in value. So at the top, I want it the darkest I possibly get it, because that's when my sky is the most saturated. As I move down, it's going to gradually lighten up into gray, and the gray is going to lighten up into almost nothing as we move down back towards the horizon. Okay, when I get here, yep, and just like so. And then I'll do the same thing on the bottom. And this is actually going to be the water. And then I'll get heavier as I get towards the bottom of my paper. And like I said, it doesn't matter what color you use. You can use whatever color you want to with this. Being sure to leave some white in there. Mine is going to be black and white. Yours can be whatever color in white. All right. So I think the very first thing I want to do is go ahead and probably activate this, just so I can get a feel for my background. Just want to make sure it's dark enough in there. Like I said, I'm really testing the black. I really want to know. I have to. All right. Now I'm going to grab a water brush. And yes, I like using water brushes the most. I'm going to start. You know what? Let me grab a napkin. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I went to get a napkin and it ended up having to be a taste tester. It was really good too. All right, so I'm gonna start here, moving upwards. And what I'm doing is I am trying to make sure I completely blend all of the pigment. Get all up in my corners. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. Coming down to my horizon. Moving back up. Left to right, and I am dropping. As I run out of water, I will drop a bead onto my paper. Now, you don't have to do it that way. There are several different ways to blend it, but that's just how I choose to do it. All right. And then I think I'll go ahead and drop that bead of water too. And to the horizon and move forward. Now, on this part, you can actually skip. Leave white in there. That's fine. Should have did a little more with the pencil. But you know what? I'll show you a way you can do it. Let's just blend it out. You're gonna blend it just like you did the sky from left to right. Making sure you get all the way to your edges. go. Just like that. And I'm not really super concerned with that horizon, but there, we're gonna get it. There we go. All right. Now, I need to get that time to dry, and then we'll continue. Okay, now we've given that time to dry, whether you used a heating tool, a hair dryer, or you just let it air dry. Now we're going to actually turn it into a little landscape. Guys, real easy. Watch this, okay? So you don't need a lot of elements. You can keep it really simple to start out with. And you can do a lot of paintings in this, you know, this format. Get your practice in, get used to the medium, get used to how it moves and performs. That way you can feel more comfortable about drawing with it. So like, okay, so let's do something simple here. Let's throw in a mountain that kind of comes in the middle here, right? And it'll pop up the other side, just like that. It's real simple, just like that. Pop up the other side, just like that, okay? Go ahead and color that in, all the way down to the horizon line. And you want to get it heavy and saturated, right? Okay. Down to the horizon. Okay, on the other side, real quick. Okay. There we go. All right. So what else we need to do? We need to give it a shadow line right here, right? Shadow line, and then it'll probably be shadow there, and it'll be shadow here, right? Just pop it in just a little bit. And then let's throw it here. You guys know me, I love a rock here, there. Let's just, they'll be smaller further back towards the horizon, right? And then they'll just kind of get bigger as they come towards us. Right, that's how they tend to be. That's how they tend to be. That's a really kind of weird one, but we're gonna make it work, right? It's a weird rock can. I'm just gonna draw a couple of them in here. Just coming towards us. It don't have to be anything too complicated. I don't know what happened here. Okay, so we've got to do something about that. Let's see. Don't know what that is, guys. That's supposed to be a rock. Oh, that lid broke. That's something to take note of. That lid did snap with a little pressure there. So we're gonna try to turn that into a rock. Here. That's a better shape. Color that in. Better shape. Did it come out from there, right? That's fine. Color these little rocks in. All right. And we're gonna pretty much do everything else with some white. So let's go ahead and activate this really quickly. And this is how simple like a composition with watercolor pencils can be. Now you could actually do the exact same thing with watercolor paints. Don't be mistaken at all. You could do this with paints. And like I said, this is actually a study in color value. You're getting to see how one color can be used to give you the different shades needed in order to pull off a composition. At the same time, you're getting basic exercise with, basic simple exercise with watercolor pencils and still creating something really nice looking, you know? You could actually frame this, give it away, depending on what you're painting on. We're just gonna keep that line across the top of the mountain really sharp. All right. And then we have got some, I'm just gonna go real light to activate that. Come across here and do the same, right? Because we got the reflection. And I am going to get some water on my brush there just to work that out a little bit more. There we go. Same thing on this side. Blend it just a little bit better. All right. Now, let's get that line a little bit sharper, closer to that horizon. There we go. You see how involved just one color can be? All right, and then let's go ahead and activate our little rocks here. Do a little shadow drag out from them. You know, because they're definitely going to be giving out shadow in the moon and the sun coming up. This could be a sunset or a sunrise, however you want to look at it. Okay. And then we need to do the big mama jama here, which is just sort of like an awkward big rock coming towards us. Yeah. But that's what that is. Doesn't look too bad. And we're gonna, we need to shadow it. I'm just gonna see if I can pick up. There you go. Let's put a little bit of water on it and blend it. There we go. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see. To do a little bit more blending here. These pencils are okay. I mean, you can definitely tell they're a student grade pencil. And that's as much as I'm gonna say right now. All right. Yep. Everything else I wanna do with some white. So I'm gonna be using bleed proof. You guys use whatever you want. You can use some gouache. You can use acrylic paint. I can tell you now, there's not going to be any white watercolor pencil that's going to be saturated enough to do this little technique that we're about to do. So, like I said, I would recommend a gouache or an acrylic. If you have bleed proof, you can use that. Putting on some stars first. Okay, so I learned from experience that I better try to do some blocking with this stuff because it go everywhere. It does not want to come off that brush. Let me try to get a little bit more. All right, let me try a different brush because that's just not cutting it. Let me, oh goodness, let's see. Come here. All right. Guys, I don't know what's going on. I cannot splatter to save my life right now. There we go, that's a little better. Right. And since I got the white on that brush, I'm just gonna use it. Say clean up in a minute. Let's see, we would have a little white on top of that rock. We would have a little white on top of that rock. the rock would have some highlight on it. This one will have highlight on it. A little water line going here. Okay. Just dragging it across there. Just hitting and miss. Now that is actually too big a brush. What I'm doing, that was cool. I'm gonna, it would be cool if it was up closer. So I'm gonna switch back over to, the water brush. So I can get some final on this. And we are going to, right here, panel circle, just a little one. See if I can get a little bit more white on it to make sure you can see it. May have to put another layer. Then we're just gonna go just like that. Huh. Can you see it? I can't really see. We'll put a little bit more white on it because we definitely want it to stand out. There we go. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so I'm gonna sign it. Told you it's gonna be real quick and simple. You guys know I sign my paintings that kind of ways. It's my initials that time. It is what it is. Give me a second and I'll remove the tape from around it. There we have it. It was real easy, right? Turned out pretty cool. That's what it looks like with the white border on it. Hopefully you guys turned out real cool as well. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I'll start doing a lot more of these. Kind of help get you guys used to them. Different things. We'll build on them from easy to intermediate to advanced. Things of that nature. But there you have it, a unboxing, a swatching, and a painting demo with the Winsor Newton Studio Collection watercolor pencils. In all honesty, this is not the first thing I've done with them. Did some bookmarks with them for the ephemera video that came out yesterday on Thursday. So, which technically was today for me because I'm recording this on Thursday, but that's not here nor there. So hopefully you guys saw something that you liked. Maybe you learned a tip, a trick, or a technique. Guys, please give the video a thumbs up. Let me know you enjoyed and you appreciate the content. Share the video. Sharing is caring. All those newcomers and those who haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing so we can help the channel grow within the community. And remember to hit the content bell. You'll know when new videos are coming out. There's mostly water soluble things on Wednesday, and every other Thursday some ephemera, and Fridays you typically get watercolor pencils or color pencils or pastels or like a Hallmark or some stuff of that nature. Sundays art journaling, junk journaling, or mixed media. I just like to mix it all up and do a lot type of different things. You guys know me, I'm an artsy crafty type of guy. Hit up the video description for any of the links that are necessary, from the Etsy shop to the most recommended product list, and the Thrift Apprentice sponsored Facebook group, Paints, Pencils, Pastels, and Markers. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. See you next time, and remember, as I always tell you, just keep painting and crafting.